So is this the best pizza in Takoma Park and maybe some of the best pizza in DC? I think so. We're going to Red Hound Pizza to meet Charbel Abrache, who opened this place about a year and a half ago with his wife. He has a really interesting story. He came here from Venezuela. He trained originally as a pharmacist and then kind of discovered that that wasn't really his true love and went to culinary school, worked his way up, apprenticed under some amazing people, and really mastered pastries, mastered making bread. He was a big part of the opening of Seylou Bakery down in Shaw in DC. Opened that place up, learned a ton, and then actually became interested in Takoma Park because he owns a Red Hound, who he will talk about here. That's kind of where we're gonna begin the conversation. That is what brought them here. They loved the vibe, and he was nice enough to come in on his day off when he was actually cooking meals for his family, meal planning for the week. We sat down and had a great talk. So here we are on Carroll here at Red Hound, and if you are ever in this area, I recommend you stop by for a slice of pizza or some soft serve. Let's go in. Tell me about your first time visiting Takoma Park, or maybe where it dawned on you that you may want to move here or start a business here.
Yeah. So we have a Red Hound. She's a Basset Hound. And when she came in our home, she had a little bit of a complicated health. She still is, with complicated issues. Our vet actually told us, you guys should check out this store called the Big Bad Wolf. You know, they have really good resources for food, for, treats and things like that. So we, found ourselves coming a lot here, and we started to, walk around the neighborhood more and more and more, liking the neighborhood more and more and more. And, we said if something happens, it might happen here because we feel very comfortable. People over here are awesome. The business, the Big Bad Wolf has been really awesome with our dog, or that's what we were thinking at that time. And, we couldn't find ourselves in another place. So obviously the first idea was to move in here, not to establish our business or anything like it. But, we said, maybe this is a cool place to be. And then we got the opportunity to open up the shop, and we said, okay, let's do it. And that's basically why it's called Red Hound, because it was for her that we end up in Takoma Park.
And the dog's name is?
Arepa.
Arepa.
Yeah.
Which, explain what an arepa is.
Arepa is a cornbread, if you want to put it that way. It's our daily bread in Venezuela. You have it as a breakfast, you can have it for lunch, you can have it for dinner, and it's always, or it will work as a bread. That's basically what it was. Things evolve as everything, and most of the time you'll see it more sliced and filled with things, and there is a culture behind it, obviously. Yes, there's a lot of things, different names and all that, but the arepa basically is just cornbread.
You moved to the DC side, right? So you live in the Takoma neighborhood of DC, would you say?
Yeah.
Okay.
We live in Blair Road, yeah.
How do you describe that area, or what do you like about that area?
When we moved, our landlord said, okay, the neighbor next to you, her name is Tia. She will be awesome with you guys, and, you don't have to worry about your neighbors. We've been always lucky since we moved to the United States. Actually, every single neighbor of us has been amazing. In this occasion, Tia is, the moment we opened up the door, we moved in and everything. She went out, say hi, introduced herself. She shares a lot of the things that she uses for her lawn with us, connections. A couple of days ago, she dropped a book for Tomas, and this is the vibe that we get from everyone in this neighborhood. Everyone is so eager to say hi. Everyone is always helpful and always protective of their own community. And we really like that. That's actually what we are in business for, is to keep on building community and to have interactions with people from the community, hear their stories. And, most of the time you end up telling your stories as well. And I don't know, it's a magical thing, I feel.
Funny story about the Big Bad Wolf. My wife came home the other day from Starbucks, and it was like 8:30 in the morning.
Yeah.
You get up super early when you have young kids. She came back, she said, the funniest thing happened. And she was telling me and our kids. She said, I was outside Starbucks, and there was a dog, a big fluffy black dog on its own outside the pet shop. And it had a leash on, but no owner was nearby. And I thought, oh no, someone's lost their dog. And then I hear a lady stomp up and say, I told you they were closed. I was like the hardest I've laughed out loud in a long time, just thinking of this lady, in this relationship that we have with these pets. Yeah. something in the back of my mind was saying, there's no way they were open at that time, right? And then that was the punchline to the story. So whoever that lady is, if you're listening, let us know. So before we get into your story and the backstory behind the business, maybe just people that are thinking about checking this place out, or give us a little bit of a sense of where we are and maybe some of the things that they can expect here. Like, for example, I've never been to your patio. I know that's, like, what should someone know about this place?
First of all, we're a very small shop. We're a very tiny pizza shop. We do have an outdoor patio. We're trying to like accommodate it for the weathers. What we want is you to open the door and feel welcome. That's the first thing. And feel that you're safe in this environment, no judgment or anything like it, and grab delicious food. So that's our principle, that's what we want.
It seems like a lot of craft really goes into what you do, and that you take your craft seriously, and you've really studied a lot, and I think that comes across in the selection. And how is the menu built out on a week-to-week basis?
So we work with different farmers across the DMV area. Like the flour, for example, comes from Purple Mountain, which is a neighbor of us. If you live in Takoma Park, is the house of Dr. Amen. They have their practice in their house, but as well they have a farm. It's called Purple Mountain. And if you ever go to the farmers market on Sundays, it's the Purple Tent. They have really amazing produce, but they do really amazing grains as well. Rice, wheat, oats, and rye. We get the freshest possible flour that you can get. And we work as well with migrash. If you go again to the farmers market on Sunday, you can see Ian. I think he does once every 2 or 3 weeks, depending on the season. So we work with their flour as well. Then we work with Fred from Grapewood as well. We source grain from them for flour. But we kind of like rotate. We kind of like, depending on what we need, we go with one or the other. And then we have different other farmers that we work with for produce. We're very lucky to be able to work with amazing people as well. And
the types of pizza toppings, flavors people can expect here, or just even the texture and how you would explain it to someone who hasn't had it.
Very similar to Roman style. I'm going to say it's more grandma style. So what's the big difference? Grandma style is a style of pizza that gets baked on a pan, usually square, and all the toppings. And first you go with cheese, and then all the toppings on top, and then it goes baked all at once. Roman style is a double bake. It has a different fermentation, different style of baking. So we kind of like take the fermentation style of a Roman dough, and we kind of like apply it to a grandma style of pizza. So it's like a hybrid, if you want to.
Grandma meaning
Roman.
What's grandma doing? Like, is she?
So that's a style that it's called. Like, I don't know if it was originated in New Jersey. It's like one of those pizzas that your grandmother will do on Sundays, where you have a lot of time, but there's not a lot of attention on it,
and we can serve a lot of people. Throw it in there.
Okay.
It's a unique vibe in here because we have the menu on butcher paper up here.
So we change it every 2 weeks, and we were thinking, okay, what we should do. Should we start just printing every 2 weeks? And we said, no, it's going to be too much, paper to waste, because yes, the years go by and you practically are going to revisit some of the flavors, but still you revisit them with different perspectives. So we said, okay, butcher paper will do the trick. That's the main reason why the butcher paper is out there. Yeah.
Cool. Do you have a favorite pizza?
It depends. So 100% margarita. That's my go-to every single time. But any of the vegetarian options are always, up there for me.
Anything you've tried that hasn't gone over?
Oh, yeah. Well, I talk with a lot of our team members, and I remember one I did. It was like a lamb merguez pizza with like peppers, and it was like whipped ricotta. It was one of those things that you will not revisit again. And it was good, but it was like too much. Very interesting pizza, but probably will be a kind of pizza that you all eat once, and you don't want to do it again.
Well, I want to go back a long ways to the beginning when you were in Venezuela and how you got into this to begin with. Maybe you can tell me like how you met your wife and eventual business partner and got into the culinary game to begin with.
Yeah, so my wife is a pharmacist. We met in pharmacy school in Venezuela, actually. I wanted to finish the pharmacy degree, but after 1 year of being in school, I found myself cooking a lot more and not studying as much as I should be. And I just, had one of those things where that you're not in the path that your body and your mind and your soul wants you to be in. So it was like one night I said, okay, I have to change routes, and I enrolled in culinary school. And actually my wife and my brother were part of it because, one night they sat down with me and they said, this is obvious. Your books are not pharmacy books, like they're cooking books. So jump in. So, I owe part of my decision as well to the support that I got from them.
And she sticks with it on that path?
Yeah.
She keeps going on the pharmacy path?
Yeah. So she right now works as a technician. Here. It's getting licensed as a pharmacist with an international degree. It's tricky.
Yeah.
There's a lot of laws that are not the same as your country of origin. There are different countries that actually the pharmacist is the one that prescribes, not the doctor. Not the case of Venezuela, but there's a lot of limitations or complications that could come up. And so she started as a technician here, got certified, and
but just
who knows?
Yeah, timeline wise, you guys are in Venezuela. She sticks with the pharmacy.
Oh yeah.
You go to culinary school.
I go to culinary school. Yeah.
What's the path when coming out of school?
I finished culinary school and I wanted to keep on studying, and I had the opportunity to just apply for school in France, and I applied for it, but not to be into like the entire political situation, but because of things that were happening in Venezuela, I couldn't go there. So then my next route was to go to Argentina. So I went to Argentina for an very intensive program for culinary. Lived there for 6.5 months, and finished school. But in the meantime, I was working in restaurants, mostly in the pastry line. And when
Something about that draw you in?
Yeah, on the savory side, if you want to put it that way. I do like to cook for my loved ones, but I found myself more comfortable for work mode on the pastry side or bread baking. A lot of it, you can say, is related to my past as a pharmacist-ish
Precise
newbie freshman.
measurements.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
And I do like that precise measurement, that method, that repetition. Not that you don't do that as a savory, but on the bread baking or in the pastry world, you have always to be with your scale. You always have to be with this technique. You always have to be that. So I, found myself more and more working in that realm.
And you said you enjoy cooking for your family, and I learned today that you come in here on a day off. We're in here on a day off. You're taking some time to chat, and you come in here and do a little meal planning for the family, right? For the week.
Yeah, so I do here production for the shop, and as well some of it for my house.
Sure.
Obviously I take it all over there, but
okay. Yeah. And then tell me about your path to come to the U.S. and what the plan was there, where you wound up.
Yeah, I was in a culinary school, actually the same school that I got trained in Argentina, started to branch out across the continent. So I don't know if they still have it, but they had one school in Miami, another school in Colombia. That one was very, very big. And they were starting a plan to open up a school in Venezuela. I got contacted to see if I was interested in helping them open the school. And I ended up working and opening this school with this and developed their program. I was the head pastry chef of the school at that time. And then, things in Venezuela were not at the greatest. So my wife and I started to look different horizons, and I got a job offer to Australia, and I decided to embark it. But I said, okay, I haven't left the country in a good time. I need to get my hands into something different. And I applied to do an internship at Blue Hill at Stone Barns in New York. Mm-hmm. And that's why I end up in the United States. That's where I met Jonathan Bethany, who is the owner of Seylou Bakery in 9th and N in Washington, D.C.
Yeah, this is an incredible space in Shaw that if you've ever walked by it, it catches your eye because it's got these floor-to-ceiling windows, right?
Yeah.
Where you can see really, really high ceilings, and there's probably a reason for that with what they do inside. And we'll get to that, but it's an incredible space, and I've never had an opportunity to eat there, but I hear amazing things about them.
Oh, yeah.
And
you should
you get
definitely
hooked up with him.
Yeah.
And then that prompts a move down to DC?
Yeah. So, we connected there. He was consulting their bread program. I was on the pastry line most of the time. And, they told me, oh, yeah, you're going to work with him for a couple of days. We end up working for a week or so. We connected really well. We had really good time. And, when my time of the internship ended, we just like said our goodbyes and everything. But we kept kind of in touch, emails or text messages. And then I decided to go to California to visit my aunt. At that time, I haven't seen him in, I don't know, 10 years or so. A couple months went by, and my contact of Australia calls in and said, this offer, we're not going to pursue it. Like the entire lawyer visa situation is not going to be, what we planned. So we're dropping it. And then, I don't know, 2 or 3 days after, Jonathan calls me.
Okay. So were you pretty bummed out when that happened?
Yeah. And to add to another complication to the story, in Blue Hill, I met another Australian chef, and he was opening up a hotel in Sydney, I believe. Mm-hmm. And he was like, oh, I like how you work. Let's connect. And, and then I said, okay, I have a backup plan if Australia falls, and my main job offer just doesn't go through. So, my main job offer said, we're not doing that. And at that time, the chef said, we're not doing that. And then Jonathan calls me. And so, I was like I don't know how to describe it. Like I had a lot of high hopes over there. I've read amazing things about the country. I was very curious. It was in the other side of the world. It was completely a new adventure. But at the same time, looking back to it, it's great that it didn't happen, because I was able to understand baking in a different way that I will never have dreamed of.
So now you're going to, like you say, learn about bread like you would never dream of, and that is what Seylou is all about. Like, this is just next level, right? Like, this guy was consulting about bread with this beautiful farm to table place up in New York, and then you go down there. What are those early days? Were you there from the very beginning of that business?
Of Seylou? Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And what was that like, just building that up?
It's one of the hardest things that I have ever done as a pastry chef. Getting trained as a traditional pastry cook or as a traditional bread baker, you are introduced to really standard products. So flour, it's always the same. You just choose the type of flour that you want to use for X product. So I don't know, right now, if you open up a bread flour, you're going to be baking bread. You don't have to do anything else besides open up the flour, following the recipe, and that's it. Like you're done. You're set up for success. With the style of baking that Seylou has is that at that time we were working directly with farmers, same as we do here. You work directly with a farmer. The farmer has a variety of wheat that they grow that can change per year depending on, their planning, depending on weather, depending on a lot of different things that you're not necessarily responsible for. Like we work with a farmer that only wanted to grow one kind of wheat, and that's what he wanted to do. Doing that is very hard because you rely a lot on what the weather or the season was, or whatever happened on the field, you're going to see it in your bread, or you're going to see it in your pastries. In my case, I was developing their pastry menu. So I started ground zero with them. They didn't have a pastry menu. I had to take care of that. And I found myself failing a lot of times. Like, I don't know, I'm going to say, probably I started to see really good results a couple weeks before we opened up the bakery.
Right.
Cutting it it was very stressful for me because it puts you in a spot where you're doubting your capacity as a bread baker or as a pastry chef. But at the same time, it gets you the opportunity to connect with the product in a different way. It's not like X brand I'm opening and I don't even know what goes behind it. I know that it's gonna come in. I know that I'm gonna open it. I know that I'm gonna have really good bread, or really good croissant, or a great cookie, or whatever. With this, you kind of connect with the farmer. You know them. You know their story. You know their struggles. You know what they need to move in terms of inventory. You kind of like understand the story from a different angle. So what we did a lot in Seylou was baking with crops that most of the time were just not used at all. So we built the entire pastry program on those principles. So one of the very first cookies that we did, it was a millet chocolate chip cookie. Millet it's something that most of the people don't even know what it is. I've never used it, for example, coming in from Venezuela. I didn't even know how it's gonna react or how it's gonna bake. But then once you bake it, even though it's a disaster, you try it and you say, wait a minute, this tastes really, really, really good. So that's why you keep on pushing until things comes as you want it. But the product already has so much flavor, so much history, so much nutrients that you don't want to drop that. But it's very different. It's a different style of cooking. It's a different style of baking. And I haven't looked back since. Like I don't have white flour at home that I cook with. I don't have, if I buy flour, I buy it from a local farmer. At this time, I have the privilege of having really good flour. And if I need it from home, I just take it from here. If I don't have this store at all, I will not buy flour from the supermarket. I will look for someone that, grows their grain or works with a cooperative farmers that grow their wheat or their grain and their millet, or, they produce it on site,
Mm-hmm. And it seems like that's an education in improvising more, experimenting, maybe some of the things that maybe you're naturally inclined toward, like you said earlier with the pastry stuff, the measurement and the pharmacy background, right? You have to learn how to just roll with it, which I assume is good training for starting the business a little later.
Yeah. So when we do this kind of baking, you learn that traditionally you have the pastry chef that wants this result. There is this much room for change, if you want to put it that way. With this style of baking, you have this room of change. So things may go up, may go down, may, sideways, who knows? Right. We had this situation, and we have it here where it's the same variety of wheat, it's the same farmer, they mill it in the same mill, but you have results that changes every single time. So what you do is you learn to be a little bit more flexible in outcomes. You learn to understand that not necessarily is that the final product needs to be or has to be in a certain way, but it can be different.
Yep. Cool. So you're there. How many years were you at Seylou before this?
7 to 8 years.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Okay. There's a lot that happens during that time, right?
Yeah.
And then you reach a point where somehow this idea comes in your head. Is it your idea? How does this come about?
So I've always been inclined to do a pizza shop. Yes, I did a lot of pastry and bread, but I always, wanted to have a pizza shop. Just, I don't know, brings me back to really good memories when I was growing up. We tried it in Venezuela, actually, but it didn't go through. So once we found ourselves more settled in the United States, we started to question if we wanted to move forward with that. So we started to look around, but not necessarily being very serious until this store came along and we decided to jump in. So before that, I developed the pizza program at Seylou. We started that 2018.
Was this place a restaurant before?
That's a funny story. I thought it was, but it wasn't.
Okay.
No, apparently it's been different things. So it has been a wine tasting room. Before us, it was like a bubbly bar that they serve alcoholic and non-alcoholic drinks, but they serve food as well. And I thought, it similar, right? So that's why, one of the things that convinced me to open, not convinced me, but gave me the push that something like that already existed here. So that's why we decided here. Right.
And you come in and you have to assess, okay, in this space back here, which is tight, can I do all the baking that I need?
Yeah, we thought with the people that we hired to do this, they did the measurements. They did it very wrong. So we gave them the list of machinery that we were going to use. They say, okay, it all fits in this and that, and they send us like the blueprints and the oven. If you see it right there, it should be actually like 2 feet to the other side. It got complicated. But yeah, now we have to find, at that time when everything came up, the oven and the fridges and all that came in, we had to install it. I looked at it and I said, this is not going to fit the way it was intended. So yeah, now we had to figure it out. And that's how the layout ended up being. It has evolved, actually. Yeah.
Okay. And did it take you a little while to kind of feel comfortable back there, or did you settle in right away?
Yeah. Right. Yeah. No, absolutely.
And you're working back there day in, day out?
I still do it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Tell me, are you self-funding? Did you self-fund the business? Did you get investors? So
we got a loan, actually. It's through an SBA loan. Don't know how I got it, because apparently it's one of the most difficult things to get. It is very difficult. So it was very frustrated because they always ask for more and more and more and more. And then you get to a point when you ask yourself, maybe they're not going to give anything because they just keep on asking information. So our funding comes from SBA, and we're very grateful for that, despite the fact that it was very complicated, but we were,
Okay.
Yeah.
So you're like the sole owner of this place.
Yeah. Well, my wife as well. And my son and Arepa, our dog, she's the boss.
Okay.
Yeah. She gets all the money.
Okay. Cool. Tell us about the customers or the people that you've met through the business, maybe people that helped you get started. What's that experience been like, getting to know more people in this community?
Yeah. So anything that we've done, or anything that I've done in terms of my work, it's always around trying to build community or relationships. I don't know. I found myself leaning towards that has more value than any followers or Instagram or social media or being viral or anything that you can describe on how the world moves right now. For me, it's way more important that understanding the reality, or connecting with my customers and knowing their names and knowing what they like, knowing what they will be excited about. So now we got to a point where we plan, when we plan the menu, we say, oh, this flavor will, this person will like it. Or we're very excited because I know that she will like it, or he will like it, or they will like it, or they'll be excited about this or that. And, you started to build your business around your community, which is actually our goal. My wife's and I goal is that, be able to provide food for the community, but as well provide good relationships, connect with your core, and I feel that we've been very blessed with our neighbors in Takoma Park, because I never had bad interactions with anyone, even though you can tell that it's not their kind of product, or it's not their kind of a space, or it's not their kind of a flavor, or whatever. You understand that they might not feel attracted to your product, but even though that they're gonna be nice, they're gonna try to support you, and that for me means a lot.
What would you say is your goal ultimately, when you just zoom out years? I'm sure day in, day out of business, sometimes you can't afford to look that far ahead, but what do you think as far as, do you ever want to expand into a bigger space, expand to a different location? What do you think about as a visionary?
It's a funny question. It's an interesting question that has 2 or 3 different answers. So when we open up the shop, do you see those 2 machines behind you? The white one, it's a very tiny soft serve machine. Mm-hmm. When we opened up the shop, I didn't buy that. My wife, at that time, she was telling me we need to have soft serve. When she was expecting our son, one of the things that she was craving the most was soft serve. And I think it stuck with her. So she said, okay, we're going to open up a pizza shop. Yeah, absolutely. We're going to open up a pizza shop, but we need to have soft serve.
It could have been like pickles or something else.
Yeah, it could have been cake, it could have been cookies, but she's like, no, we need to have soft serve. So we embarked in this. I bought the machine. It's like a very generic machine, nothing fancy. So we started with the soft serve, and we said, okay, if we're changing the menu every 2 weeks, it means that the soft serve gets changed every 2 weeks. And it became a thing. When we opened, we had lines out the door. People, again, very grateful for our neighbors, because our neighborhood was coming in here to support and see what we were all about. So we had lines for pizza, and then at the same time we had lines for soft serve. And it started to become more and more and more a thing, to the point that we had to buy the machine that is next to it. So another machine of soft serve. So we have now 3 different flavors of soft serve that rotates all the time. One of them is vegan all the time. The future might be open up an ice cream shop. I don't know. That's why it's fun. It's a funny question because I never thought I was gonna be that, but we have a lot of customers that say your pizza is amazing, but we need you to open up an ice cream shop. So maybe an ice cream shop. And the other one, yes, I would love to be in a bigger space to accommodate for more people. I would like to be able to have more people sitting inside more comfortably and enjoying what we bring out,
Is there a hidden gem for you either in Tacoma, DC or Takoma Park, Maryland, a place that you really think might be underappreciated that you like to go to, whether it's a business or a park or something like that?
For me, it was a hidden gem because I was not aware of this entire neighborhood until I started to come more and more and more and more. Soul Kitchen, for me, it's a very special place. They serve really amazing food, and we found ourselves bringing people that comes and visit, and we really want to show them something special. We send them over there. Their food is amazing. I don't know if you ever been able to try it. It's Korean vegetarian.
Yeah.
It's like my wife is obsessed with their cauliflower wings.
Yep.
And she doesn't like spicy food, but she's like, I need more of this. That is one of the things that, we found that for us at least is a hidden gem. Maybe it's not. I mean, I don't think so because it's very popular. But for us, it was like, wow, this is a very special place. And I don't know the name of that park. I think it's Opal Daniels, I believe. It's by Carroll. When we moved to Tacoma, it was right behind our original.
It's tucked away. You wouldn't see it unless you.
Yeah, for us, that will be another gem. Like Arepa run so much over there when the weather was awesome. Hopefully the neighbors didn't hate her because she howls and barks a lot when she plays. A lot of people will think, oh, she's very loud at home, but she's like the most silent dog ever. But when she's playing, I'm pretty sure every one of you have heard her.
Nice. Anything about this area, Tacoma, DC, that you feel like the community should work on improving? Things that could be better about living here? Something that's missing?
No, I don't think so. No, I don't know. For me, it's like I met one person here that said that their ultimate goal was to never leave Takoma Park. And they said that it's getting closer to that because, you have churches around here, you have doctors around here, you have your dentist, you want a good coffee shop, you have 2 actually. You want to grab a great drink, you go to Motorcad. You don't have to go to any fancy bar downtown to have a really good cocktail. You want to, do really nice Mexican food, you have 2 places now. You have, San Pancho if you want more California style burritos, yes, but it still has its Mexican roots. You have Cielo Rojo as well. If you want to buy a gift or something, you have Tabletop, you have the toy store right next to us. So I don't know. Something to improve, I'm not sure.
Yeah.
It keeps getting better and better.
Yeah, that's a great answer. Lastly, what would a perfect day look like for your family around here? Like, how would you start the day? Where would you go?
Okay.
How would you end the day?
Very similar what we did on last Sunday. We grabbed coffee in Bevco. It's very close to us. So I was here very early in the morning shaping dough. Then my wife and kid came in. I was kind of like free. So I said, okay, let's go grab breakfast. We grabbed coffee and breakfast over there. Then we saw Matt from People's Book, and he was like, oh, there's a pirate singing right now. So
pirate singing.
Yeah, I don't know. There was like a Halloween.
The type of thing that happens at the bookstore.
Yeah, of course. There was like a Halloween costume thing I was not aware of. And we decided to go there most of the times when it was when Tomas was a little bit less active, story time at People's Book. So, we go there. Then the park across the street.
Takoma Urban Park.
Yeah, exactly. And then just walk around Farmers Market, then come back to the store, grab a pizza. Tomas always wants his pizza once he opens the door. And either grabbing a drink at Motorcat at the end of the night, or going to Cielo Rojo, or going to Soul Kitchen for closing the night. But if in between that day happens to be there's like open market that goes in the bread bakery at Spring Mill sometimes. I think it's around, we're getting close to that time. I believe there's like a lot of clothing, a lot of local artists and stuff, walking around that and then coming back. Yeah.
I just want to say thank you for coming in on your day off to chat with me.
No, it's awesome. Yeah. Thank you.